Hello, viewers. Starting a little bit late, but it's not too bad. Welcome to another stream of Art Lounge, where I will be continuing my project. But first, let's look at the music pick of the day. Psychedelic Porn Cruppets. Check them out. It's a pretty good album. The song is great. And with that said, let's bring up my current project. So I did do more work. I couldn't resist. It's just not enough. You know, the hour, I wouldn't get much done. In fact, I'm thinking that I'm gonna spend more time off stream, as much as I'd like to record the entire process on stream, for the sake of just moving along and getting further and further with the project. I am probably gonna do it more off stream. Spent a lot of time trying to work on her lips, and it already feels overworked. Just looking at it, I could already see, or maybe because I've focused on it. But really, I think it's the line as well, or all the lines rather. It just seems way harsher in comparison to all the other parts of the face. I started zoning in on like certain parts and just couldn't detach myself from it. And I think that just caused it to look even more overworked. It got more and more stiff and rigid because it's like going back to it over and over again. Being extremely cautious with the lines, which I think also adds to the stiffness. Like, in some ways, I think it's good to just stay loose to keep the flow going. But I couldn't help myself. I thought, like, okay, just focus on it super hard, and that way you could move past it. You could nail it, and then move past it. Didn't work. I ended up spending more time on it. So I'm hoping with this a little bit, like taking a break and detaching myself from it, I can actually get it down and move on. trying to decide what I want to leave to define by colors rather than lines. And I think it is kind of working towards my favor at this point, like having to spend so much time focusing on it and taking a break and looking at it with fresh eyes. Not as agitated from having to like do it over and over again. It kind of relaxes the process a bit. It's a really tough angle. I think that's what really does it too. It's just the angle of the face. And how everything else kind of follows that pattern. I think I will also come with a new set of challenges once I move to coloring and how that's going to be used to create forms on the face and redefine facial features. But I think having to work on it consistently daily will make that process a lot easier. I'm 100% sure on that. That's always how it goes. It never goes in reverse. You know, some people think that it actually could be to your disadvantage, or like not really that it's evident, but if they have like, let's say, a day where they're not getting the results that they're looking for, they're like, oh, am I going backwards? And I don't think that there is such a thing. Like, as long as you are drawing consistently, you're always improving. And when you come across roadblocks, that's like an indicator that you're about to get even better, because you notice it, first of all. Like, you notice the problem and you want to work your way out of it. So that's a major indicator of like positive change, going in the direction of positive change. But I'll tell you this, I'm pretty sure like the nose is gonna be really challenging to define. Especially the way I'm planning to do it. But we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I do have a tendency to pick, like, if I'm picking a reference, difficult images. As in, like, they're not crisp or they're not clear. In this case, it was the video capture. Because in some ways I think that's more authentically yours, you know, as opposed to a picture. Because I feel like if you're doing a picture or photo rather, it's somebody else's photography. And photography is an art, you know, so you're kind of taking someone's art and drawing it and then saying it's yours. You know, it's like a dicey area. You know, I think it's important to, like, especially when it comes to hyperrealists, like, sure, you could show that you have like really good precision and you have amazing hand-eye coordination. That's something to be happy about, I'm sure. But I think in this case, when you're like capturing a video, you're capturing the moment that resonates with you the most, like a certain emotion that you saw that you liked in an instant, in a second of something. I think my goal is just to do as much original work as possible. You know, of course, everything is referenced, influence. You know, that's all there, and it's not bad. I don't think it's bad to be influenced by somebody. I think it's great. You know, that person took time to develop a skill, and also I'm sure they're happy to know that they're inspiring others. You know, as long as credit is given and it's not just blatantly the same exact thing, I think it's fine. It's just a personal challenge for me, I guess. Let's just put it that way. Like, think I'm ready to move on to other parts of the drawing. Like, I'm not gonna spend that much more time on the face. For the stream, I'm pretty satisfied with it. I might make small adjustments as I go. I move towards like coloring, and during that process I might like tinker with some things here and there, but for the most part I'm okay with this. Nah, not enjoying that. I think I'm just gonna have to work with like my taste on what the composition should be. Because again, it's like the reference is so blurry. Just trying to flesh out some parts that are more in shadow. There's a part of me that wants to just keep it, the lines as clean as possible, and then just like create the shadows using colors. But it's not too late to experiment with that later. Like if it doesn't turn out or look good, I can always just erase it and work on it with colors instead. But I think some contrast would do good. It'll give more character to the image, or shape. Plus it'll make the colors look cool too. She has light hair, so you could see through the colors. It's coming along, coming along. But now I do feel like I have to define more areas that are dark. Somewhere right about here. I want to keep the lines as clean as possible and just see what the results are. Because I have done very similar work, which you guys will see very soon. I'll be posting some updates probably towards the end of this week. As I mentioned in a previous stream, ways you guys can get involved more. And exclusive peek into past projects, including the first one. I did finish it and colored it. Pretty happy with the outcome. Just a matter of time until I release it with other content as well that I've been working on. Woo. I did finish watching Stranger Things the other night, and I have to say I'm upset that Eddie was left behind, that he didn't make it through. But something tells me that it's not over with Eddie. Maybe, right? And this is my theory. Maybe because he was left in that realm, and they didn't tell you exactly like what, or show exactly what happened to him. It's just assuming he's gone. Because the cutscene just showed it, and then that's it. And then, you know, there's that scene where Dusty's talking to is it Dusty Buns? He's talking to the dad, and he's telling him like, oh, he's gone, he didn't make it. But I think that either A, they're hiding him because he's still wanted for all the atrocities, or B, he was left in that realm and that he's gonna come back maybe slightly altered because of like what happened to number one. You know, he was cast out into that realm, and then all of a sudden he changed, right? He became monster even more so. So I wonder what would happen to Eddie, since he really doesn't belong there. And it does have some sort of like supernatural effect on the person. So I'm gonna guess he's gonna come back and he's gonna have like some weird like supernatural upgrades or some sort, or like life extension, or I don't know. But yeah, I'm not totally bought into him being gone. It's a fun show. I like it. I'm enjoying it. They did a great job like capturing 80s vibe, and I think everybody agrees on that. There's a lot of effort put into that aspect of the show. I'd say he was like my favorite character for the entire show. Him and I like Elle's dad. Elle's dad is pretty cool. And also the guy who owns Kachinka. That guy is funny and obviously like intended to be a comedic relief. Even though he's a rat bastard. But acting and comedic relief. Oh wait, to clarify, not like Eleven's like dad, not the guy who was like torturing her basically and like holding her in cell for his experiments and shit. But the other one. I guess the protagonist dad, not the antagonist dad. Though if that guy, the Kachinka owning guy, was real, I wouldn't. Personally, I wouldn't care. Like, I wouldn't find it to be funny in any way. Which I think sometimes people like take on those personalities in real life thinking that it's just as cool and fun or whatnot. It's really not. Like if you're emulating a piece of shit, and I don't care how funny it is, he's a piece of shit, and that makes you want to if you want to go along with it. It stops being funny once it transitions into like real life. It's the fact that the person's acting is what makes it funny, not actually the character themselves. At least for me, that's the way I see it. And I'm also very excited that Westworld is back. Actually been waiting for it for a while. I forgot that it was streaming again in July. If you guys haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's very, very good. Acting is excellent. The story is fantastic. One of the best stories. The characters are great. Just all around, great show. So now that I'm done with Stranger Things until the next season, I'm going to be devoting my time to that. I think Maeve is still my favorite character. And the actress is very beautiful. I like her personality. Well, her actress personality, I guess. Can't really know exactly what they're like. But she was in other movies that I've seen as well with Simon Pegg, which I really liked. I think it was Run Fat Boy Run. And she was playing his wife there. I like pretty much all of Simon Pegg's movies. It's great. And if you guys don't know who that is, he was in Shaun of the Dead. Maybe that's a little bit more familiar. But he was the protagonist in Shaun of the Dead. Another favorite of mine. Movies, that is. Westworld kind of reminds me of like the very beginning of Matrix, like what happens in the Animatrix, which really, like, if you guys watch that, it kind of explains how and why machines took over, and how like humans were just abusing them because they weren't human, didn't matter to them, kind of like they do to animals. And how the robots got fed up with it because they were modeled to be as realistic for all sorts of things, including relationships, and not the intimate kind, not the good kind. And that just goes down south quickly. Yeah, I think if people haven't watched The Animatrix, I think they're missing out such a big part of the plot. From like who Trinity was, to some of the characters that show up in a Matrix, and they talk to Neo. You're like, you know, what is this? Is this just like another fill-in? You know, something to fill in the time. But if you watch The Animatrix, it shows you who those characters are. Like one of the guys, I think it's in the third one, maybe the second one or the third one, where Neo comes down to the you know, to Zion. He's in Zion with Trinity, and they're together, and he's in the elevator, and the elevator doors open, and this kid runs up. He's like, oh, let me grab your bags, and he's like super nervous and excited. That's the kid that Neo saves in Animatrix. In one of them. So a little spoiler alert there. But regardless, you know, it's great. The animations are so great. And each one of them, for those who haven't seen it, each scene in the Animatrix, it's done by different artists, and some are animations, some are like 3D animations, as in, or CGI rather, and other ones are just like hand-drawn, traditional type. The one with the creators of Aeon Flux was great too. Really trippy. The concept is really interesting as well, like when a robot actually falls in love with a human and what happens there. So it's like all those concepts are kind of touched upon in Westworld as well. So it's like it reminds me of like that predated period before, you know, the whole Matrix system was built. this is so challenging. Like trying to find exactly where these shadows are. And I'm not really looking to do like every strain of hair. I kind of want to shape it around. And then let the colors do the rest. Kind of want to balance out the shadows all around, so like shadows here, some are here as well. Just trying to pinpoint where is the best place compositionally as well. Like it's not so much wanting to draw exactly as I see it, but to balance out all the dark shadows throughout the hair and throughout the image, kind of. It's a bummer. I might have to end the stream soon. But like I was mentioning, I'm probably going to work on this more in my free time because I just like getting into it, and I don't like that once I'm really into it and I'm getting somewhere, I got to move on to the next one. Not because I don't like the next one, it's just actually that's the reason why, because I like the next stream as well. I like brushing, using the brush tool and actually feeling the mediums. Like it's a nice break. Just not enough time. Really what it comes down to. But I think some good progress. You know, I'm not too upset about the lips, considering I spent so much time on them. The hair took shape. It's the most challenging part, like the hair, the face, because everything else, I'm not planning to really go overboard. Like the mandolin. The hands, they're pretty well fleshed out. So yeah. Well, thanks for joining in, guys. I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you like the content, subscribe, hit the like button, check out the social medias, post your questions and comments and thoughts, perspectives. What did you think of the shows that I mentioned, including Stranger Things? Who are your favorite characters in each one of them? Talk about that more. Yeah, stick around. I'm gonna set things up and be right back with coloring comics with watercolor.